My name is Romanița Iordache. I'm a human rights researcher based in Bucharest, Romania. Most of my work is focusing on doing research on equality and anti-discrimination legislation, but I also do trainings, quite a lot of them. And from time to time, I'm involved in doing strategic litigation, either with the Court of Justice of the European Union or with the Strasbourg Court. I work with various NGOs, mostly Romanian. One of them is Accept Romania, which is an LGBT group, but I also work with Roma NGOs and NGOs supporting different victims of discrimination based on disability, religious affiliation. So my focus is around securing equality and combating discrimination. Describing my relation with MPG also highlights the reasons I respect MPG, because objectively speaking, MPG is famous for doing the advocacy work, the groundwork for the adoption of the equality directives. But besides this, let's say, historical fact, what MPG did was bringing the directives home at the national level by organizing the trainings, writing the first handbooks for training on equality and non-discrimination. And then further on, securing the implementation of the equality directives through the research the MPG is doing with the Equality Law Network, and also with the thematic reports, the comparative reports that is preparing every year, and also with the Equality Law Review. So my meeting of MPG came very early on in the moment of the adoption of the directives, because I was engaged in promoting the Romanian draft anti-discrimination law, which was adopted in August 2000. So in a way, before the directives were adopted, but we were heavily influenced by the drafts of the directives. And then I got the opportunity of being engaged in this very hands-on implementing bit of the directive in developing the first handbook and the curricula for the trainings. While also being the researcher covering Romania every single year when doing the annual reports. And at some point, I also had the opportunity of writing a thematic report, looking at the effectiveness of the different remedies used at the level of all member states. And for me, that was probably one of the most challenging writing jobs I've ever done. But it is also one of the most rewarding works that I've done, because it happens from time to time to meet other researchers or civil servants who are saying, well, we know you because we read the report and it helped us. So, for example, last November in Paris, in a training on equality and non-discrimination, an Irish official came to me and she said, I wanted to tell you that we used the thematic report when we looked at ways of improving our sanctioning mechanisms. So that gave me a feeling of meaningful work that actually reached its initial purpose of bringing in information, having that kind of comparative analysis, identifying best practices, and then recommending solutions, which of course need to be contextualized, but at least they're helping activists and civil servants at the local level to understand better what the European standards are asking us to do. that's another way in which MPG remains as a front runner in working on equality and non-discrimination. And this is a research project which was piloted in several states. Romania was one of them. And we tried to understand the ways in which public policies, legislation, the case law of the National Equality Body or of the courts responds to structural racism, to structural discrimination. This is a concept which is not embedded in any of the EU norms so far. But it is pervasive. It is at the roots of all incidents of most incidents of discrimination that we see in our society. So for me, it was important, even if conceptually, theoretically, it was so challenging. It was important to meet with activists at the local level, to have these discussions about what would be the best definition, what is missing, and how we can use the current framework or what can be done as a plus. And this is the type of work that is showing the way in which MPG takes this topic of equality and non-discrimination seriously and is bringing it forward, never saying, okay, it's enough. We have to go deeper and deeper until we tackle the roots of discrimination in our societies. You can take it easier and look at the history, look at the present, look at the future, but then I have a very personal one. And one of the first ones is the history, what MPG stood for, what the organization brought in the public European space in terms of legislation being adopted, in terms of research that is then used at the local level, in terms of trainings and building capacities at the local level. And this is a continuous work that that MPG did and is bringing us to the present. This is the type of work that is badly needed, and it will continue to be needed in Europe. And the fact that MPG is there and building alliances with academics, with NGOs, with the Commission, like building all these bridges, a network of actors committed to promoting equality, then this is essential. And from present, I would take it to the future. The example you gave earlier about the research on structural discrimination speaks about that kind of vision that MPG is standing for. So this is not about giving up. It's about continuing and doing things better, regardless of how difficult and how challenging these times are for all of us, and MPG included. But besides these three, let's say, factual, objective arguments, I would say that personally and very subjectively, for me, MPG is a model of how the human rights work can be done. It's not, when you do human rights work, it's not always important what you say or what you do. For me, it is much more important how you do the work that you're doing. And MPG, in all these years, managed to be the collegial, supportive, fair, very ethical partner, and also the inspiring partner that you want to have when doing human rights work. So for me, MPG is the history, is the present, is the very good work that it continues to do, but most of it, it's the people in the team of MPG and those who worked with MPGs and then went on to do work in other institutions, in other NGOs, and remain committed to equality. in a way that is honest, that is passionate, that is authentic, and it is meaningful. And that matters. It matters because there is another type of network. It's a different type of solidarity. But you have that human touch and respectful touch that for me matters. So. Look, in the ideal world, the work that MPG is doing should not be necessary, but that would be utopian. So my wish for the MPG is to stay strong, to manage to remain that kind of power engine for equality and non-discrimination work that is in itself establishing standards for the research you do on equality, for the type of training and partnership with national actors, for the type of advocacy work, like having all the elements coming together and making the best out of the huge expertise that is built within the organization and within its larger network of partners who are respectful, who are passionate, who are willing to vouch for a very collegial partner.